Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Kia ora, brothers. It's the director. Chargers fans. Today's video is going to revolve heavily around this question. Who are the Los Angeles Chargers at the midpoint of the season? Because if you would have asked me around week 5, I would have said the Chargers are Super Bowl hopefuls, a lock-in for the NFL playoffs. But at this point, man, I don't know. As time has gone by, Chargers struggling in recent weeks. I don't know if I can say that anymore. We're in a pickle. The Chargers are on a downward trend. But like I said before, the signs of success are evident from the early weeks. We took on some heavy hitters early on, man. I think the biggest game that kind of comes to mind to me is the Chargers' 47-42 win over the Cleveland Browns. It was crazy. Who does that? Who puts up 47 points versus one of the toughest defenses of the league and then struggles versus teams like the Minnesota Vikings and the New England Patriots? It's kind of insane to me. So in today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to go over everything on the team. You know, every position, quarterback, wide receiver, defense tackle, everything, as well as coaches, GMs, just trying to find out what's going on and what the Chargers can do to improve. I feel like by identifying featured player and coach traits, maybe we find some answers to these issues, to these problems. So before we do get started, guys, again, huge giveaway going on right now. As a token of appreciation for everything you guys do on the channel, I'm giving away this signed Justin Herbert jersey to one of my lucky subscribers. All you got to do is hit up the link in the description, follow the instructions there. Very simple to enter, and make sure you are subscribed. Only subs can win. Good luck. And lastly, because we always do giveaways in twos, we are giving away this full-sized signed Keenan Allen helmet to one of my crew members out there. Guys, thank you for everything that you guys do. You guys keep the lights on around here. You're heavy supporters of the channel. Thank you so much. This is, again, a token of appreciation for everything you guys do for me. All you got to do to enter for this is be a member of my crew. That's it. I think we're drawing a winner around Christmas. Good luck to everybody out there, man. These are some awesome prizes. And with that, let's get into this one. Before we do, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this Chargers content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into this one. Lights, camera, action. Who are the Los Angeles Chargers at the midpoint of the season, and what can we do to help them improve? Question for you guys in the comments. Who has the most to improve on the team right now? I'm talking players, coaches, owners, GMs, everything. Now, as we go along, please include your thoughts on how we improve each position. If you guys have anything to add, or maybe even agree or disagree with any statement, please let me know in the comment section below. Now, we're going to be breaking a lot of things down today's video, guys, starting here with quarterback Justin Herbert. I'll get you an idea of how this video is going to go along. Who is Justin Herbert? Big arm. Deep passes from 2020 really kept the Bolts very dangerous downfield. He's got very fast passes, can fit it into tight windows. He's mobile. His first touchdown was a rushing touchdown versus the Kansas City Chiefs, if you guys remember. Kept drives alive with his legs. He's got that mobility that's honestly pretty coveted in the NFL today. Highly intelligent player. He's a leader. I know a lot of people had, concerns about him coming out of Oregon in the 2020 NFL draft, but he's shown to really have what it takes to be the guy in the NFL, to be the guy for the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, recently, I will say he's been struggling versus pressure a little bit, maybe having some issues with his reads, kind of, singling out one receiver. And he's also had, we have to, point out that he's had swinging door of coaches and staff since he was playing in Oregon. So maybe the inconsistencies there are hampering Justin Herbert just a little bit. So after kind of going over who the player is, we're going to give an answer. My perspective on what I think the Chargers need to do in order to improve each position. In the case of Justin Herbert, my answer for him does come down a lot to the play calling with the offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi. Play calling and protection are the biggest things we can do to improve the quarterback position, which, again, I'm going to say, guys, the Chargers are in a really good spot at the quarterback position. There are a ton of teams out there that would kill to have Justin Herbert on their team, so we're not in a bad spot. But we do need to improve, as we're seeing Justin Herbert, struggle a little bit in recent weeks. Play calling and protection are a big one. But a big thing that I think the Chargers need to shift focus on is that Justin Herbert is not Drew Brees. I understand Joe Lombardi coming from the New Orleans offense. He's not the dink and dunker. He has, those playmakers out there to make the most of those situations. But at the same time, I think the Chargers really need to attack the intermediate part of the field a lot more. And when I say intermediate, I feel like that's between like 10 and 20 yards. I think that's something the Chargers really need to focus in on, because Justin Herbert was very, very efficient in that last season and early on in this season. Last thing I'll say is maybe Justin Herbert adds a little bit more touch to his throws, as the wide receivers have been struggling a little bit with drops. Other than that, quarterback, solid position for the Chargers. Those are the things I think we could do to improve Justin Herbert at that position. Now, next up, running back. Austin Ekeler is our featured player. Of course, we do have some okay guys at depth, but I do think we do need more. Hugely efficient pass catcher at the position. I would say, there's three big guys in the NFL that are among the best when it comes to being a receiving back. Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, and then, honestly, Austin Ekeler. Very, very, very good at what he does. He's also extremely strong. You guys seen his workout, photos and videos. This guy is pound for pound one of the strongest guys on the team, and a very good runner, a solid runner. Also very elusive, and one of the best in the league that I've seen as far as stiff arms. This guy breaks tackles like crazy. Very, very good running back that we've got on this team. However, he's not the biggest guy. He's not the biggest player. In today's NFL, you do see a lot of players like, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, these bigger guys that can go, in between, in those gaps and pick up those short yard situations. I don't know, man. I think the Chargers have themselves a really, really good running back, but my answer to improving this position is definitely going to be drawing up more screens to better utilize his trait as a receiving back. I know I talk a lot about not liking wide receiver screens or bubble screens, but we do have a weapon on this team where screens could be very effective, especially when you got young talent at the left tackle position like Rashawn Slater, who's very fast. Definitely take advantage of what you got there. Call some more screens to your featured halfback that's really good at receiving, and let him flourish in what he does best. Drop more screens. I would also say wouldn't be a bad idea in the upcoming offseason to sign a bigger back to complement him. In no means do I want, the Chargers to have another running back come in and take over, but just someone to complement Austin Ekeler that helps him maintain the running back one role of this team, but has, we have that backup weapon for more situational, usages as far as short yardage situations. So that's where I'm at with Austin Ekeler. Solid running back, but I do think we need to utilize him a little bit better towards his the traits of his strengths. Okay, so that's where I'm at with Ek. Next up, the Chargers wide receivers, featuring Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Jalen Guyton / Josh Palmer. I think I talk more about Palmer in this segment. Now, Keenan Allen is great. I know some Chargers fans a little bit weary of maybe he's been dropping passes a little bit more often. To me, Keenan Allen's kind of back on track. He does need to work on the drops, but to me, it's not a big worry. It's not a big worry. He's still the featured wide receiver one on this team, and he's going to offer Justin Herbert some of the best opportunity to convert on third downs. Third and Keenan lives on this channel. What about Mike Williams? When he was featured in the early quarter of the season, I think he was a top 15 or 10 wide receiver. He was really, really good. We heard a lot from Joe Lombardi saying, this guy's going to be our X-receiver. He's going to be heavily featured, a lot like we did with Michael Thomas back in the day. He also offers vertical, possession threat as far as, 50-50 balls and stuff. He's a very versatile weapon, and one that I think needs to be more heavily favored. I think he needs more looks. And then lastly, Guyton, speed option. Josh Palmer, ascending rookie. I think he needs more, looks and more opportunity, who's also amazing in coverage. But the big thing that all these guys have been suffering from this season is drops. And drops more specifically in clutch situations where the Chargers need to convert. We need to see that pass completed. So my answer here for the wide receiver position is, at this point right now with developing stories, we do lack speed. Tyron Johnson recently released by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Go pick him up, man. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Guyton and Johnson were a very, very good complement to each other for Justin Herbert last season. Go get that speed back. Swallow your pride. Get Tyron Johnson back on this team. T-Billy. Also, the last thing, find out what's causing the drops. We've got a really good, strong group of wide receivers on this team. But for some reason, they are dropping passes at critical times. We need to figure out what's causing that and nip it in the bud. I feel like as soon as the Chargers wide receivers get back on track, Justin Herbert gets on track, the offense gets on track, we need to figure that out. We got to identify what it is. And like I said before, the Chargers and Justin Herbert, he's got a lot of zing on that ball, right? Maybe Herbert can add a little bit of touch, but, that does offer more, risk when it comes to interceptions and fitting, passes into tight windows. So, I don't know. I still think it's on the wide receivers. We got to figure out what's going on with them. Next up, the tight end position. Jared Cook and Donald Parham. So Jared Cook, in a couple words here, is a vertical threat with speed. Okay, I know he's like 30-something years old. He's probably not going to play for the Chargers next season, but he still offers speed and versatility. I like Jared Cook a lot, even though he has, I would say, blown some huge plays at times for the Chargers. Some of them did cost us the game, and that's honestly a trait that he's kind of carried within the last couple of years, which is a little bit insane. I see it as like unlucky. Maybe a little bit, lack of execution with much heavier consequence. But at the same time, Cook, he's got to clean that up. On the other side, you got Donald Parham, massive frame, 6'8", with big speed, shocking speed for his size, as well as nice ball carrier moves. I talk about his little stutter step all the time. How many touchdowns has he scored by, evading one tackler and then taking it into the end zone? The guy's huge, great weapon. I just think he's not featured enough. So my answer at the tight end position, maybe split tight end one duties between Cook and Parham and start, transitioning Donald Parham into being our tight end one next season. Use Parham's size and speed more often. I think we've got a great weapon on this team. I'm so confident in Parham that I don't think the Chargers need to go sign another tight end next season. Make Donald Parham your number one tight end, and you're looking pretty good. So just use Donald Parham more, maybe split duties between him and Cook. That's where I'm at right now. Get him more featured on this offense. Next up, the Chargers offensive line. We'll kind of list off the guys that are playing right now, as Brian Bulaga is injured, as well as Ode Abushi. So we got Rashawn Slater, Matt Filer, Corey Linsley, Michael Schofield, and Storm Norton. Now, Linsley and the left side are absolutely superb. Rookie sensation Rashawn Slater has huge speed for his size and his position. Very efficient. Honestly, if it weren't for the way that the Rookie of the Year, award went, I don't think he's going to win it, unfortunately, but he does deserve it. It's just he doesn't play quarterback. He doesn't play a skill position. That's going to hold him back. Slater has been absolutely fantastic. The Chargers are great. Filer offers efficiency and flexibility at the guard position on the left side. Again, the Pittsburgh Steelers moved him around a lot in his career back there, and I think the Chargers would be wise to utilize that as well. On the right side, you got Michael Schofield, who's a serviceable guard, not the best, but with the Chargers circumstance, it could be a lot worse. And then on the far right side, Storm Norton at right tackle. He's been okay at times, sometimes pretty good too, but mostly underperforms. I view him as a really good backup, someone that you bring in rotation if you have to, but at the same time, the Chargers need an answer at right tackle. So my answer for this position, at least for right now, is move Filer to right tackle, enter Brendan Hymus, rookie at guard, and I think we got a different looking offensive line. It still kind of boggles my mind that the team hasn't tried this. And then post-2021, definitely go out there and find a new right tackle. I love Brian Bulaga, but he just cannot stay on the field. All right? Next up, moving into the defense, the defensive line. This position's seen a lot of woes lately. The Chargers giving up by a mile the most rushing yards per game in the NFL. Let's go over the featured guys here. Linval Joseph, Justin Jones, and Jerry Tillery. Now, Linval is huge. He's very good against the run. I'd say that he's the best fit on this defensive line for Brandon Staley's new defensive scheme. Nose tackle. This is the kind of guy you want in there. He's been fantastic and honestly underrated in the pass rush as well. He's very, very good. Now, Justin Jones is a great interior pass rusher with who's also pretty decent against the run as well. I like Justin Jones a lot. I think we should keep him around. And then finally, Jerry Tillery. I view him as an okay pass rusher. He hasn't really lived up to his potential since being drafted in the first round. I don't know if he sticks with the team. I know Brandon Staley likes him a lot, but we need to see more from him. So my answer at this position, and this is a big one because the Chargers definitely struggle versus the run a lot, sign a big defensive tackle to help with Linval Joseph, to line up with Linval Joseph. I think this in turn does help the Chargers when it comes to, blocking assignments on the opposite side. Maybe you got to, use more resources on Joseph and this other guy, this new signing. Maybe that frees up Bosa a little bit. But as for this season, maybe use Forrest Merrill and Brendan Fayoko a little bit more too. Those guys are big, 300 plus pounds, 6 foot something. I think they would pair very well with a Linval Joseph in the middle. Unfortunately, maybe the man out in that situation is Jerry Tillery. Maybe we do get a little bit of a preview of that on Sunday versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, as Jerry Tillery is likely going to be out due to COVID. Okay? Next up, edge. The edge position, Joey Bosa. The man with the plan, the man with the big contract on this team. That's going to be our biggest featured player on this segment. Uchenna Nwosu and Kyler Fackrell. These are the three guys. Now, Bosa is one of the best in the league. Thus why the Chargers spend up to make sure he stays on the team. Very good player. Very good player. I can't say enough about Joey Bosa. I don't think I even need to say anything about Joey Bosa. He's just the man. He's very, very good. However, he suffers from double and triple teams all the time. Every single game I'm looking at his side of the line just to see if he has that one-on-one matchup. It rarely happens. When it does, Joey has a really good shot at making it to the quarterback, but he's going to need a little bit of help. On the opposite side, Uchenna Nwosu, he has flashed at times in the past. I think his biggest game and his biggest performance was versus the Baltimore Ravens in that playoff game a couple seasons back where he strip-sacked Lamar Jackson. Very cool. Very good. We saw a lot of potential in him, and again, I honestly think the Chargers fan base, myself included, had high hopes for him. But he hasn't really settled in this season as well. And hopefully he can figure out something in the later half of the year. But right now, I'm not too confident in it. We need to see a little bit more from him. And then as far as Kyler Fackrell, off-season acquisition by the Chargers, he was an above-average player with the New York Giants and the Green Bay Packers, but he hasn't really made a big impact this season. I have seen him on the field quite a bit, but, not as much pressure as you would hope from a guy that we signed this offseason. I was seeing him as like a Nick Vigil signing, but we haven't seen as big of an impact this season. So my answer at this position for edge, overload one side. I know it's risky. I know that, it comes with, a lot of, lack of coverage on defense. But at the same time, you got to help Joey Bosa out somehow. If you can free him by overloading one side, throwing that in here and there in the game, I like it. I don't know. I'm not an X's and O's guy as deep as other people, but that's just kind of what I've seen success with Joey Bosa and the pass rush in the past. Hopefully we see more of that in the future. Maybe send more DBs like Derwin James after the quarterback too. Just find those one-on-one matchups. And then in the 2022 offseason, I do think we need to sign a threat opposite Joey Bosa, one that's, gonna get open, gonna get free, I should say, and help Joey Bosa when it comes to double and triple teams. I think that should be a high priority for the Chargers this offseason. Next up, linebacker. Kenneth Murray, Drew Tranquill, and Kaiser White. Now, linebacker is one, or this position is one that I'm not too concerned about. I think the Chargers have an excellent linebacker room right now. Kenneth Murray is very fast. We'll start with his traits. Very fast threat in the middle. He plays the run very well, but maybe suffers in coverage a little bit. Drew Tranquill, to me, is all around solid, great in coverage, good tackler, but maybe doesn't have the speed of a Kenneth Murray. And then Kaiser White, an ex-safety converted to linebacker. This guy is very good in coverage, man. Kaiser White, he's been having a breakout season this year. Maybe he needs a little bit of work in tackling, but I'm kind of nitpicking at this point. Kaiser White's been absolutely fantastic, and they need to extend him this offseason. So my answer for the linebacker position is going to be extend White, definitely, and just stay healthy. I think the Chargers' middle linebacker position is very strong right now. Maybe add a little bit of depth if you have to, but I don't hate the depth that we have with Neiman and Ogbong. They just got to stay healthy, and I feel very confident in this position group for the Chargers. Almost there, guys. Cornerback up next. Asante Samuel Jr., Mike Davis, Chris Harris Jr., the top three on this team right now. Now, Asante Samuel Jr. offers immediate stability even as a rookie. He's been fantastic. I was kind of shocked to see that he wasn't in coverage with Justin Jefferson as much last week because he definitely did his job where he was called for with other receivers. He's been a playmaker early as well. Couple of picks to start out the season. Big interceptions. He looked like he had a lot of potential, and then he did get injured, just recently making his return to the team in recent weeks. Mike Davis, to me, has been a very solid and decent cornerback, too. He has a lot of speed, maybe suffers in coverage a little bit, but he's not terrible. I think the Chargers could do much worse at the cornerback 2 position. I think he was a solid extension for the Chargers this offseason. As for Chris Harris Jr., he's had a lustrous career, but he's really fallen off the map since signing with the Chargers. He gets burnt by fast wide receivers. Doesn't seem like he can keep up in coverage. It's kind of sad to see. I really love Chris Harris Jr., but I think the Chargers It might be time to move on. So my answer to the Chargers cornerback position is cut Chris Harris Jr. next season, sign a solid slot corner, maybe like a J.C. Jackson from the New England Patriots if they let him go, and then add some depth. Maybe target a big guy, in the NFL draft next season. I think cornerback needs to be a high priority because the Chargers got exposed with their lack of depth last week versus the Minnesota Vikings. As for this season, I guess the Chargers could go out there and try and sign a guy. There's a couple of free agents out there, but they'd be playing catch up for the later half of the season. I would just say at this point, pray that they figure something out and that other guys step up like Campbell, etc., etc. Lastly, with the Chargers players, safety. Derwin James, Nasir Adderley. Derwin is one of the best overall defensive players in the league. The dude is so versatile. He can play, almost every single position and really does excel at it. So I don't think we have any issues with Derwin James. He just has to stay healthy. One of the best in the league. Nasir Adderley, on the other hand, was kind of a slow burner. Not great in his first couple of seasons, but he's really improved a lot this year. I don't know if it has something to do with Brandon Staley or not, but he's been really good. Aggressive tackler, overall decent. Chargers could do worse. So my answer at this position, the only criticism I can really add here is add depth. If they feel like they need to sign someone better than Alohi, they can, but Nasir Adderley, they can. But I'm not terribly upset with Nasir's season this year so far. I like Alohi, Gilman, and Mark Webb as far as depth, but I think the Chargers need more because one injury causes a lot of havoc. Again, refer to that game versus the Minnesota Vikings for the Chargers. Okay. And then lastly, the Chargers special teams. I think kick returner's fine. Kicker is fine. Just kind of have to wait and see how that develops at the end of the season. But the Chargers desperately need some help when it comes to kick return coverage, etc., etc. It doesn't look good at this point. Now, next up, let's take a look at the coaches. This will be a quick one here. The coaches, Brandon Staley, Joe Lombardi, Ronaldo Hill, and Darius Swinton. Okay? Brandon Staley, defensive genius with the LA Rams. He played quarterback. He's a huge believer in Herbert. Lots of potential with Brandon Staley as we continue on this season and seasons to come. However, despite his impressive resume, the defense has been lackluster recently, a bottom 10 team when it comes to points allowed. So I don't know what the Chargers need to do. I think Brandon Staley needs some more time to figure out the team and what they need to add in order to improve it. Joe Lombardi, quarterback coach for New Orleans for years. He had one gig as an offensive coordinator that ended in disaster with Detroit, but he does come from a good system in New Orleans. Very, very balanced, but maybe a little outdated. Maybe it's due an update right now. We'll get back to Joe Lombardi in a second. Ronaldo Hill coming from Denver as a DB's coach. I think he's okay, but he works closely with Staley, and as we know, Brandon Staley just kind of runs the show on defense. He does call the plays. And then lastly, Darius Swinton, the special teams coach. He came from Arizona as an assistant special teams coach. He's got loads of experience all over the league, but lack of production this season. I see some slow improvements happening, as we continue on. Hopefully he figures that out and has a strong 2022 campaign. So my answer at the coaching for the Los Angeles Chargers, I think they just need to continue to better understand their players. Use them to their traits, to their strengths, get Justin Herbert more creative plays to feature him, and be confident and aggressive when pursuing premium players in 2022 via the draft and free agency. I feel like Brandon Staley, what he's doing right now is really kind of understanding what he has to work with, and when he figures out the weaknesses, he really needs to be aggressive next season with how much cap we have and draft capital. As for Joe Lombardi, I feel like as far as being critical with the coaches, maybe needs the most improvement. He's not as terrible, I think, as people are saying on Twitter and Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of, or YouTube and all that stuff, but he does need to find a way to get the ball out more creatively. We talk a lot about the deep part of the field, which I feel is very important, but I also think the Chargers need to focus on the intermediate part of the field. Like I said before, 10 to 20 yards. You got to be confident that you can move the ball in that kind of volume. Okay, Justin Herbert needs to be utilized properly, and I feel like the intermediate part of the field, when I went back and looked some of the tape from 2020, is definitely where he flourished last season. Find a way to get that more involved. Dinking and dunking is not going to get this football team more wins this season. Wide receiver screens, not going to work. Get the ball out to the intermediate part of the field. And then almost lastly, we got our GM, Tom Telesco. I see this guy as an excellent early round drafter. Of course, he got us some big pieces, Joey Bosa, Justin Herbert, et cetera, et cetera. but he does fall short a little bit in the middle to late rounds. A couple of decent drafts, but nothing too crazy. And he doesn't make big moves. That's one big personality or big trait of Tom Telesco's GM. He doesn't make a lot of big moves in general. So my answer for him is got to get more aggressive in drafting, signing free agents, etc., especially right now in this window the Chargers have to make a Super Bowl. Don't go full Rams on us, trading away first-round picks and all that kind of stuff, but meet somewhere in the middle. Championships are won by teams that make risks, okay? And I think a little bit of that sprinkled in with Tom Telesco's excellent drafting could take this team very, very far. I don't think it's time to fire Tom Telesco. I see that a lot on social media. I don't think that I share the same opinion. I think he's pretty solid, but he needs to become more aggressive. And then finally, the Chargers at owner Dean Spanos. That's all I got to say about that. Well, guys, in the comment section below, remember, let me know if you have any answers that maybe could add to what I was talking about, or maybe you disagree with some stuff. Just let me know in the comment section below what you think. And then also add, as far as the question that we asked at the top of the show, who has the most to improve on the team as of right now via players and coaches? Well, guys, if you did enjoy this content, hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. We'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty.